Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential. Chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello. Welcome back to another Performance Enhancing Podcast with your host, Ilan Ferdman. And we're about to delve into part 2 of my interview with Eelco De Boer. And if you didn't catch part 1 or the intro to part 1 at least, I just want to let you know a little bit about Eelco. Eelco is someone that spends 100,000 euros, that's about $150,000 on education and masterminds. He is a productivity wizard. And if you want some incredible tips, make sure to check out part 1 that he already shared with us. But he creates things in his life that allow no wiggle room for him to perform. And he has the most brilliantly simple methods to make that happen so that he creates a life-work balance that is right for him. But hopefully inside of this interview, whether it's part 2 or part 1, you can start getting some insights about how you can do that for yourself. And in this part, we're going to talk about how to build your perfect productivity vehicle, the power of journaling. Eelco is actually going to share an amazing story you heard from Richard Branson when he visited Necker Island. I don't know if it was the first or second time. And how Eelco got 1,000 free books all about marketing, mindset, and wealth, and how he got that for free, which I thought was a very, very cool story with some other gems there in between. So without further ado, check out part 2 of my interview with Eelco De Boer.
So business, that's one of my insights from like last week. Like it's so easy for a business to take over your life.
Yeah.
And it's not what we want, man. Like really deep down inside, we don't want our business to take over our life. And it's okay to be taken over by business for a couple of weeks or maybe even a couple of months, but couple of years, man, it's too much. It's too much. It's taken away our life, and it's not something we should really take a stand for it. Like, okay, this is what I'm not allowing, and then find out, like, okay, what would work perfect for me? No, well, for me, it's like switching off the internet. Don't have the password for my Facebook, but also not be. I mean, with the intro you were talking about, it was tough to get to me. You were sending me emails and all that stuff. For me, I mean, there's a handful of people that got my email address, and we get like 1,000 emails a week or whatever from people that send me an email because we do email marketing, and I have my videos and everything here in Holland. But it's a handful of people, maybe a couple of dozen people that know my email address, and I get like 2 or 3 emails a day, and so my email is not taking over my life, and it's actually from people that I would love to hear from. I mean, if you send me an email, I'm like, oh, cool, it's Ilan, And but it's not like, oh, there's this customer that got my email and whatever. I don't allow it.
You almost have it back to like AOL days where you get the pop-up. It's like you've got an email and you're actually still excited to get that email.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it's true. I don't mind reading emails because it's fun, and so it's just my team or people I would love to hang around with. And that's just it. And the rest is just, I have a great customer support team that do the rest, and they're so much better at it. And they actually answer emails and stuff, and they like it, and so it's I'm a big believer of creating a business that fits you instead of fitting you or changing yourself to your business. So adapting you
took the words right out of my mouth. I think what impresses me the most about you is the goal that you want to accomplish. So a lot of people will say, I want to be more productive. And like you said, they'll go out and read 10 books on productivity.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that one book is better than the other or that they're all wrong or anything like that. But you always have to come with the sense of understanding you need to map that concept into your life. It's fluid. Yeah. Anything that you and I share, even with our students, right? It's what's worked for us.
Yeah. It's just ideas.
Now, it will get you 97% of the way there.
Yeah.
Your 3%, the stuff that you put on it, that's what makes it yours.
Yeah.
No longer mine. It's what makes it yours. And what you've done with this productivity thing, I'm not saying that people go internet fast or give your password to everyone, but how cool is it? Like, Eelco actually came up with a system that he knew would be great for him. And I remember we spoke when you were in Carousel, and I said, to me, when I heard it, it's like, if a person wants to lose weight and they always snacking, you know, they're watching TV and they always go to their cupboard and they snack. I said, the equivalent of what you did with Facebook is like them locking that door and giving their key to someone else in the house. So now next time they want to go get that snack, they have to now think, okay, I have to go ask this person for the key. I have to then go over here and open this thing.
Yep.
By the time you do that, you're like, do I really want to fucking do that? And you don't.
Yep.
Because you've put all these little incremental steps in your way.
Yep.
I think for anyone listening, you just got to figure out what it is that you can set up so that you can have that kind of built-in accountability that is outside of you.
Yeah.
Because you will always let yourself slide.
Yeah, and definitely. And but I think maybe the most important thing is like, I mean, I could write a book about time management, and it could be like one line, and it would be like, take your time seriously. Like, because your time is your life. And if you have that, if you really, really, really realize that your time is your life, then you'll figure out a way. I mean, for me, it's internet fasting and changing my password. But somebody else is like to-do list or whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. But it's the same with, for example, a diet. If you want to lose weight, it doesn't really matter which diet you're going to use. Pick a diet and stick to it. I mean, it's a guaranteed success. Yeah. And, but it will only work if it's most important to you. And for me, my time is most important to me because I really know my time is my life. And, I really want to have a life filled with life, and not a life filled with fluff. And I want to be the architect of my life and of my business and everything. And I don't want to be like the construction worker or whatever. So
yeah, it's just so brilliant, and it really takes that kind of dedication and consistency to do that. I'm sure in 2000 or 2004 when you were kind of getting your feet into this and really getting the show on the road, none of this stuff really occurs to you because you're in head down mode, like get shit done. Yep. So people are, wherever you guys are that are listening, you can be in that beginning stage, and what you're hearing now might be like, I don't have time for that. And he's talking about family, he's got businesses, blah, blah, blah. But you have to understand it's all a journey. And I think it's really important, and this is where I want to segue to, is learning from people that have been on this journey a lot longer than you. Yeah. And trying to, even if it doesn't sink in and it's not there yet, just kind of put it in the back of your head, and it will come up when you need it. And what I want to transition to is you've actually been to Necker Island and learned from Sir Richard Branson multiple times, which I know is like was a huge thing for you. And I just saw a video recently that you did about the power of journaling and his story about journaling. And I'd love for you to share that because I'm telling you right now, I actually watched it and I've kind of dabbled with journaling back and forth, like out, like you said, entrepreneurs, right? In, out, in, out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That was the first time I heard something where I was like, wow, it never really landed that way for me. And it actually inspired me to be consistent about journaling. So I'd love for you to share with others.
Yeah, that's a good question because I love this topic. And because I write a lot and you talk about being consistent with journaling, I'm consistent with being inconsistent with journaling. So sometimes I'm journaling. Yeah. Sometimes I'm journaling for like every day. And sometimes I'm not journaling for like 3 weeks or whatever. So, and I'm okay with that. So when I was on Necker the first time, every morning we went to the temple. The temple is on top of Necker, and it was originally built for the elders like Kofi Annan and Nelson Mandela and Jimmy Carter and Desmond Tutu. And it was an amazing place. And what we did every morning over there was we just masterminding. And unbelievable things were talked about, and it was just magic. So everybody, all of those guys, including Richard Branson, writing like crazy in their journal. And then after a couple of days, I was getting tennis lessons from Mike, and he's the tennis teacher of Richard. And Mike asked me, like, all you guys, you're all writing, man. What's the system behind your writing? And then Branson came, so we were about to play tennis. And I asked Richard, like, what's your system behind writing? Because for me, I have some things, but it's not that important. And then Branson said, like, it's not that important. And then Branson told me the next story. He was like, 3 years ago on Necker Island, the great house burned down. And Branson's like 63 or 64 or something right now. At that time, he was like 61, 62. And he had been journaling for 45 years or something. Wow. And then the great house burned down, and he lost like 45 years of all of his journals. And he told me, and this was the interesting thing, he told me, like, I was so sick that I lost all my journals that I didn't write for like 3 months. And what he then told me was really, really interesting. He said, our business really suffered from me not taking notes during those 3 months. So here's this Richard Branson guy who got like 300 companies and everything. But he said, all my businesses, they really suffered from me not taking notes during those 3 months. And so it doesn't matter how you write or what's your system. It's just, if this guy proves that his business suffers from him not taking notes, why shouldn't we do it, And I've been doing it since 2006 for almost 10 years now. I think I wrote like 40 or 50 books now, just handwritten. And it's now I really see it as my legacy. It's something that I know that my children eventually, hopefully, if they're not sick of me and my teaching and my talking, will read. And it's just fun, and it's powerful. It's inspirational. It's also therapeutic sometimes, because as an entrepreneur, we go through our struggles as well. I mean, we all do. If you don't, there's something wrong. So we all go through our struggles. And what's really empowering for me is oftentimes I go back a year or 2 years or 3 years, read what my struggles were at that time, and then, like, those weren't really big struggles. And it makes you how do I say in English? It makes you makes you more relative to how it is right now. Like, okay, in 1 year probably, and I don't know if I'm messing up my English, but in 1 year, if I look back, the problems I have right now are nothing, because exactly. I went through that like every year, and every year when I look back a year, it's like, I just got to go through the struggles.
The funny part is, though, and this is like, I think the interesting part of that is when you're in it, when you're in the present moment struggle, it is for a lot of people, it's like the worst thing that's ever happened to me, and da. And then when you go back a year or two with your mindset now, and you look at the same thing that you were just, this is the end of the world, and how we're going to survive this. Not only do you survive, but now you look back at that same thing, you're like, really? That's what I was kind of struggling with? And it makes you aware of how quickly we can adapt. And I tell people this. I think the journey of being an entrepreneur is having the ability to deal with the ups and downs evenly. And if things that happen to me today, whether it's losing money, business relationships blowing up, certain things in business always happening, they get bigger and bigger and bigger as your business grows and your ability to handle stuff grows. But if, God forbid, like one of those things that I'm dealing with now happened to me 5 years ago, I may have like killed myself, right?
You would have died,
right? I wouldn't have had the tools necessary, the mental capacity necessary to handle them. And today I look at these things and I'm like, whatever, This my phrase is, this too shall pass.
It's an awesome phrase.
I say for the good and the bad. I'll read you this quote because you'll love it. I actually read it on a thing yesterday, but I think you'll love this. Mindfulness is simply being aware of what is happening right now without wishing it were different. Enjoying the pleasant without holding on when it changes, which it will. Being with the unpleasant without fearing it will always be this way, which it won't.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's like, that's life. And I think that's business and that's life. Two more questions for you. One, I saw another video and I actually didn't click on it, so I don't know the story, but I saw the headline and it was something along the lines of like how I got 1,000 business books for free.
Yeah.
Did that really happen?
Did that really happen? It's amazing. So in the beginning of this podcast, I was talking about that there were two guys in Holland, one in Belgium, one in Holland, that were selling an ebook. And one of the guys was a Belgium guy, and he used to be my competitor. And because he was the only guy and I was the only guy. And he's like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years older than me and wiser than me, especially at that time. I was this young hustler, getting into the market. And he didn't like me. And we never met. I mean, we were like 1 hour apart. We never met. He never liked me. And then like a couple of years ago, he liked one of my things on Facebook, or he tweets something. I was like, wow, he's approaching me. And so I retweet something of his, and then we sent an email like, hey man. And then we met up for a few times, and now we're like friends. It's awesome. It's a really interesting guy and a really smart guy. And it's a funny story because 10 years after we were competitors, he puts up a tweet on Twitter. He says like, I got like 1,000 business books, business, marketing, sales, and stocks, investing books. And what should I do with him? Like, how can I sell them? Whatever. So I actually love getting books from people that are already have been read and have been implemented. It's something unique. It's like, I love secondhand books. And so I sent him a tweet, and I told him like, I want to buy them for any price. Doesn't matter, because it's just amazing. Get 1,000 books from somebody you really respect, because they respect the guy. And so he sent me a tweet like, I'll give it to you for free. And
wow.
Yeah. So for him, he's into the minimalistic route right now. So he basically wants to do everything digital. And he sends me 1,000 books, and it's amazing, man. The books are over here in my office, and it's because so many books I would never buy. I would never even think about buying those books, and he bought them, and he read them, and implemented a lot of the stuff as well. And it's magic. So it's if you want to make me happy, send me free books.
Send me used books.
Marketing, sales. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I can send you a few. Eelco, you should do like a pay it forward with those books and just keep them going. And like every time you read one, offer to send it to someone and just give it to them for free.
You know what? I would love to, but for me, it's I can part with my money easily. I can part with anything, but parting with my books is so tough for me.
Wow, it's like, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you ever listen to Wayne Dyer?
No, not really.
Okay. So Wayne Dyer has this concept, which might be where this guy was kind of like pulling from the same concept of dying while alive. And the idea is that for the ego, our possessions, whatever the possessions might be, right? Like for some people, it's money, cars, houses, clothes, books, whatever. We have this weird attachment to them. But when we go wherever we go, right? None of that stuff comes with us.
No.
Right? And it's all energy. The whole idea is everything's energy, right? Like everything just needs to circulate. So a lot of people have these great conversations around money with circulation, like give, get, right? So what he did was, and he said this was one of the hardest things he's ever done. He basically had an apartment in Miami that he walked out, left everything inside, all the furniture, TV, books.
I remember the story. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And literally his thing, like his practice of dying while being alive was getting rid of the apartment with everything in it.
Wow.
And he literally closed the door. He tells a story. He like walks out. He says it was the hardest thing he's ever done. Walks out, locks the door, hands the keys to his assistant. And he's like, do with it whatever you want.
Wow.
And that was it. And I remember hearing that story being like, well, whatever, you're successful, you have all this money, you have a house in Maui, like it's easy for you.
No.
But it's not, because it's just a mindset thing. And just because he's got other things, we have these weird attachments to certain things.
Yeah.
It's like, the memories that happen with it. I know we give clothes for like people in our circle. Like we give hand-me-downs to other people. And like you hold this t-shirt that your baby wore and you're like, not this one. Not
Yeah.
But you're like, it's a t-shirt. It's a t-shirt at the end of the day.
I would literally feel, and it's such an interesting topic. And I spoke with Joe Polish about this as well, that people that come from a tough background, they really have a tough time letting go of physical stuff as well. And Joe, Joe, and Joe, he came from a really tough background, and he used to be a drug addict and everything. And he is hoarding, like getting all this stuff, and he has a tough time letting it go. And I have some of those customers as well that one of my customers, I love that woman. She's amazing. She came from Bosnia. She escaped from Bosnia, came to Amsterdam, and like I'm coaching her, but like everything is big and a lot, like so much stuff, and same thing. I mean, she had such a tough time to let go of all the even like crappy stuff, because it's a part of where she is right now. It's a part of your foundation. And for me, parting with those books would feel like, oh, I'm losing my foundation, which is the biggest horse crap ever, because I read way too little, and it's but it's letting go is such an important thing, and maybe I should pay it forward.
I was gonna say, Eelco, I think you just created a new challenge for yourself.
Are you doing sales to me that I have to send it to you, and then
you can send it to everyone? I mean, like you can even make it fun in marketing and like do contests, where people have to send you something or whatever.
I'm easy with everything given away. I'm not attached to anything like physical or digital. I really don't care. Books, it's tough time.
So that's it. I think that's where we need to go right now.
I don't like where it's going, man.
I'm working on a keynote speech right now to give on stages about using fear as your guide. And the concept basically is that if any time in life that you felt alive, amazing, like superhuman, is when you've conquered one of your fears, or when you did something that you absolutely, before doing it, in your world was impossible. And usually for me, for every person's a little bit different, but for me, I have this thing, I'm back up, like here, that feeling right here.
Yep.
It just tightens up. It almost feels like pressure. And I know that that's basically when my ego is like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this.
Yeah.
That's when I know I'm about to trigger something that's scaring the shit out of it, or something that's very unnatural to me.
Yeah.
That's what I use now as my guide to go and do that thing, because I know that on the other side of that is my magic.
Yep.
So when I signed up for the 25K Genius Network, right, I walk out after listening to Joe, and I'm thinking to myself, soul me just went, this feels right. Like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Next thing that happens is that fucking stomach thing happens.
Yeah.
Because now I know it's freaking out, because whatever is going to happen there is going to be, decimating to some portion of it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I was like, now I want to do it even more.
Yeah.
Because you're so scared. The ego. And I get into the car and I hear your interview, and you were talking about how you're in the Genius Network and all this stuff. And I was like, fell in love with you. And I was like, that's it. If ever I needed a sign, that's where I needed to be.
And it's a great network, and it's a good choice, good decision, and you love those people and they'll love you. So that's all good.
I'm very, very excited to be in that room with some like-minded great thinkers. Yeah. So, Eelco, I want to ask you this final question. We ask this of all the guests, which is that cliche of, I wish I knew then what I know now. And you've done a lot. So, and you've had a couple of businesses and all that stuff, but is there something that you wish you would have known when you were just starting out, that you would have gone back and told yourself?
Nah, man. it's also cliche to answer with no, because it's you had to go through what you had to go through, and and it's interesting. I spoke with Dean Jackson about this a couple of weeks ago. That it would be really powerful to really know at that time what you know right now. So it's really powerful, and it's also really powerful to do the exercise. Okay, what don't we know right now, which we know in 10 years? Because oftentimes you could already find the answers. For me, it's and we talked about struggles in this podcast. We had to go, you and I, everybody, we had to go through those struggles to be who you are today and to get the knowledge that you have today. So, no, I wouldn't want to change anything. But if I would have gone back right now and I had to change some things or whatever.
Not even change. Like, what would you have, if future you could have gone back to like 20-year-old version you and just give like a piece of advice or a piece of wisdom, what would you have said to yourself?
It's tough, man. It's a good question.
We only ask questions here.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's the first good question. Nah, just kidding. It's tough to not come up with a cliche, It's
Listen,
enjoy the ride.
I think cliches are cliches for a reason. You know why? Because they're true.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Nothing sticks around that long.
Yeah.
That isn't at some level, like everyone could define it differently, but it isn't at some level have some really great wisdom in it. So
yeah. Okay, I know what I wanted to say. Follow your gut. Like really follow your gut feeling. So and every time I didn't follow my gut feeling but followed my head or information, I went wrong.
Yep.
And every time I follow my gut feeling, it went right. So it's really trust your gut feeling. Get in touch with your gut feeling as well. Like really feel, learn how to feel as well. And it's literally all the trouble and all the bullshit that I went through. It's all because I didn't listen to my gut feeling. And in not just the bad things, but also the good things. Like a lot of times when you know that, oh, this is huge, we can scale this big time, then your mind starts to talk to you or whatever. So I'm really happy where I am right now. I'm like really grateful. But I know there would be an even other level when I would have listened to my gut feeling always.
Yeah.
And then, I always look at how can I make it practical, because listening to your gut is like a little bit woo-woo.
Yeah.
Start meditating, like really start meditating every morning to get in tune with your body and with your gut feeling, and based on those meditations, make the right decisions and don't do any concessions. So gut feeling, listen to your gut feeling. Also, don't do too many concessions, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Eelco, I know people can't reach you via email.
They can
reach me
through Twitter,
but you're on Twitter.
Yeah.
So how can people follow you on Twitter?
At Eelco De Boer. So it's just my full name, and I'll read all the tweets and I'll reply always on Twitter. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this podcast right now.
Exactly.
So, so if you want to connect with me, Twitter, and I have a daily podcast, so I'm doing a daily podcast. So if you just search for my name in iTunes, Eelco De Boer podcast, I'm doing a daily podcast where I just ramble, and it's my thoughts and my insights. So those are the two biggest things, I think.
I actually highly recommend them. They're very short usually.
Yep.
And he's traveling a lot of the time, and usually in amazing places with amazing people, and kind of sharing his daily nugget takeaway of an experience. So like, like I said, a meeting with Sir Richard Branson, and then he's like popping up on camera and just telling you what that lesson was. So it's really, really interesting. It's firsthand knowledge for a guy that spends, like he said, over €100,000 a year on surrounding himself with those kind of people. It's a great way to pick some nuggets out of that education.
Yeah. I think really with my podcast, it's my best work, and it was a coincidence. I just started podcasting, sharing my thoughts. But I really believe it's my best work, and it's really like in the moment. It's not scheduled. It's not planned. It's like really sharing my thoughts. And it's, I have no business model. I have nothing to sell, but I really feel it's my best work. So if I really feel it's a part of my legacy and a big part of my legacy. So yeah.
I feel the same way. I can't tell people when people are like, well, how do you monetize your podcast? I'm like, you know what? I know we've gotten clients from it and I know it's built amazing relationships. I don't look for it.
It's almost insulting when they ask it.
Look, I wouldn't have had this conversation with you had I not had a podcast.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And for me, these meetings and getting to learn from other masters, I mean, how do you even put a price on that?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's incredible. And for all of those that are on the fence about doing it, I agree with Eelco. Like, it's so cool to go back. Now I've been doing this for a year and a half. You go back and you listen to one of your first episodes and you really see how far you've come, what you were talking about, what you were dealing with. It's like a live journal, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
But Eelco, absolute pleasure. I'm super, super happy that we could make this work. I can't wait to see you in person and get to learn more about you.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have an amazing rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Performance Enhancing Podcast. We've taken this pep talk and created a custom action guide so you know exactly what action steps to take now to grow your business. Just head over to SatoriPrime.com/podcast and download it for free. Also, please leave a comment and rate this podcast on iTunes. It'll help us get the word out. Thanks for listening. Now, go and implement. We'll see you next time.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor? Did you